Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're working on our file picker widget, and today's task is table view. So we have been working on this image editor. Here he is, this little guy. His goal is to be something that's like a replacement for both GIMP and Paint. The idea is that like a lot of the actions that you would take in GIMP, I want to be kind of defined by like shaders, right? So if I want to go into somewhere and I want to change the contrast, I have like a shader that I've written in res shaders contrast.glsl. This is like something that like could be provided by a user. And this thing, all he does is he takes like an input image and you can like crank contrast, right? And it's like the idea is like I know mathematically what I want to do a lot of times, and then I struggle to like find the thing that I want to do in GIMP. And so this should provide like a lot of flexibility for very low effort. Yeah, and it should be like it's like easier and higher power for me, right? But one of the things that you have to do when you're like creating something is you need to like open images, right? And we don't have a way to do that right now. We like kind of pass them all in on the command line off rip. We've written our own GUI framework here because while I did say low effort here, I also think it's fun to say I wrote an image editor with no dependencies. Slate lie. I don't think we're gonna be able to get rid of OpenGL because it's things like GLSL based. We could like write our own GLSL compiler and do everything on the CPU, but like chances of us actually doing that are pretty low. But saying like we have no dependencies but OpenGL, that's still like pretty good, right? And so, since we've gone down this road, we need to open a file. Our GUI framework needs file picker, right? And so we took a stab at this the other day. We did kind of part one of this. If we look at our file picker demo, where we have like the world's worst file picker. We have some like hand-drawn icons and a list. It's not in like a scroll view or anything. That's easy to add later. But if we like click on stuff, we can, open folders. If we click on a file, it crashes. That makes sense. But, like theoretically, we're getting somewhere, right? The next step I want to do is I want to add the ability to like sort things, right? So if I open like a real image editor, like GIMP, and I go in here. Calling GIMP a real image editor is maybe a lot, but anyways, in here, they have like sort by modified. And I use this all the time. I use this like all the time. Because I'm just like, I change something where I know what folder is in. Tell me which thing I want. So I think that means that we should make a table widget. And we can make a table widget in a way that is like useful for this, but also just kind of like generically useful in the GUI framework as a whole. So I think that's the plan. I think we're gonna create a table widget, try to refactor the folder view a little bit to like use that thing. Add some dates, add some sorting. But yeah, should be pretty good. Should be pretty good. So let's get moving. So the way our GUI framework works, as a recap, we're kind of following in the footsteps of immediate GUIs for a little bit. Sorry, I don't know if that made sense. Dude, my brain just like melted. It's like I just teleported like a few seconds ahead and then I was like, oh, where am I? But yeah, so what am I even talking about? The way our GUI framework works right now, we're following in the footsteps of immediate GUIs a little bit. It did make sense. I remember. It made sense. So in immediate mode GUIs, you kind of every frame, you like re-layout. Right, so you say like I'm going to like make button, and you like make like I don't know like tables. You do like table start, and then you say like label and like blah 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 table end. Like this is kind of like you write it like you're writing like functions, right? And the idea behind this is like it's like easy to write, and it's also kind of saying like look, we're gonna relay out every frame, but and like that's cheap, so it doesn't matter. Like layout is like so cheap. Like you have like GUI frameworks like Qt where you're doing all of this like state management, copying this stuff around, shuffling it, and like it just feels heavy. You can tell it feels heavy when you're moving stuff. Like it just doesn't feel good. Where like on these immediate GUIs, they're like, look, we're gonna do all of the work every frame. And so like if it feels bad, it will feel bad all the time. So you better make it not feel bad. We're kind of following that pattern where we're going to do layout every frame, but we have like long lasting widgets. The idea here is that if you have like maybe we can show this guy. Say I'm like grabbing this scroll bar, right? And I'm like dragging it around, right? An important piece of state for this scroll bar is where on the scroll bar am I clicked, right? Like if I scroll on, if we just assume that we were clicked in the middle, as soon as I grab this thing, it would shoot up to like wherever it thinks that I should be clicked, right? So this widget for the scroll bar needs to have like interframe state for it to remember, like one, that it is like the same scroll bar, like I am this scroll bar, and where am I clicked? So we do have long-lasting widgets, but the way these widgets work is they kind of like have like adapters. So we have like, we have like app state over here. And in app state, we might have some like label for an object. We might have like, file.png, right? This might be like a name somewhere in here. And this might be stored in like some sort of like array list, some sort of like non-constant address, but like we might know that we have some way to go from like number to this thing, right? And so what we do is we make like a label widget, and he says, give me a struct that has like get text, right? And in that struct, we store the number and the app, and then we can like resolve this every frame. And then this guy will like cache GPU state necessary. He'll be like, okay, so you said that it was called like file.png, and like I know that my wrap width was like this wide, which means like I can reuse the GPU buffers that I made from last frame, but maybe the text has changed. If the text has changed, I have to like regenerate the layout. But like the main idea here is that we have like polling functions to get state. For something like a table, I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. But we can just try stuff and see where it goes. Oh yeah, the other thing that we do here is that like actions are not performed by the GUI ever. Well, ever is strong, but like typically we should not write widgets unless we are like intentionally sidestepping the GUI framework that apply actions. So typically what we do is we have like button, and button doesn't know anything about the app, right? He lives over here in GUI land. But what we do is we say, okay, when we construct this button, we'll give it like an action, right? And all this says is when you click this button, can you like send this action back to us? And so like our GUI framework kind of like on like the main loop, we have like step the GUI and like tell me what the action was. And so like we'll have a button and we have like a create path button that when we click it, we'll say create path, and then we can just like handle that in our main loop. So probably like that's kind of like the bones for this guy. We'll kind of figure out where we're gonna go from there in a second, but that's how everything works up until this point. So to follow that pattern, I guess the expectation here is that we are going to have like a long-lived table widget, right? We're going to be like, make me a table. And this table is going to have to say like, give me some stuff to put in here, right? Typically, like this give me some stuff has been like pretty straightforward, right? Like we have like text, and the text is like, give me some text, right? So we'll have like text retriever equals some struct, and he's going to have like get text, right? Something like this, right? Whatever. I don't really know, like if our table is supposed to be like this generic container that can support like any amount of changing stuff. Like I almost wonder if like get widget at this index makes sense, right? Where he returns like a GUI widget abstract thing. That might make sense. It depends on if we think that the table will always have like constant types of elements. It might. So say we make a table, and we know that like when we construct this thing, he somehow like we like feed him a layout. This could almost be known at like compile time. Maybe you do something that's like we have like columns, and maybe in columns he gets like an array of like widget type or something, And then the table has to know about each widget type. That sounds kind of gross. I don't like that. What if he has like widget constructors? Where he's like an array of these guys? That doesn't really feel like it works very well either, because probably construction of each widget I think is like not like you don't just have like make widget. You have like make widget with these parameters, and each widget might have different parameters. So I don't think that really makes sense either. I do think I like the idea of the table being able to dynamically add and remove widgets. That seems reasonable to me. But I guess like everywhere else where we've done like stuff like that before, we've been willing to just reconstruct the widget, right? So if we look at something like this, right? So this object properties button section in the bottom left here, if we go into like checkerboard here, we have different parameters here, right? We have some drag floats, we have some like color pickers. This is different than if we jump into like a composition, where if we're in a composition, we have like these ways to add items. These guys get like populated in here. What we've been willing to do for these is we say, look, the number of elements in here will not change very often. And so fuck it, we'll just regenerate this whole like widget tree every time. And maybe that's the play here for the table widget. That's what we've been doing for everything else. It seems to be like fine. And we could run it that way. So let's think about it that way. So table is going to have some structure. He's going to have some sort of like, this feels like it like belongs in the GUI section, like right off rip. So can we look at like GUI zig, and in here can we just start like adding a shit? So like table zig. So we're gonna have like pub-const table is import table zig. Okay. And when we initialize this guy, I assume like constant number of columns seems pretty reasonable. I think that there's a world where you could maybe change that thing, but like, again, if we're saying that when we change the contents of the table, we regenerate the layout anyway, like we regenerate everything anyways, then it seems like maybe a runtime list of columns will come in. So we say here, we're going to store our columns, and each column is going to have some set of widgets. I wonder if it's better to go rows or columns. Items here, maybe rows is each row is going to have a set of widgets. Yeah, okay. That seems reasonable. Now, these widgets are generic types because they have to return some sort of like application defined action, which means that this guy has to be a generic type. Okay. Sure. And this is now like each of these guys, he executes some action. Okay. Seems reasonable so far. We probably also want like headers for these guys. Right? Like something like this. So we have headers and rows. Seems reasonable. Sure, yeah. Now, do we want to be able to dynamically create these? Probably. I think that's very likely. So maybe we... Sorry, I'm just thinking. So I guess that means that this becomes like probably a runtime bounded list is the nicest thing. I guess we could even do like an expanding list. Sure. So we could import futil, and we could do something like, is this not right? Oh, it's futil like this. There we go. Much better. So we could do something in here that's like util runtime segmented list of these guys. Wow. Simple. It's so simple. Okay, so when we init this guy, we're going to return a table, and by table I actually mean self, because table is the function name that returns a type. So that we need to use this guy here. Presumably he can fail, and I guess these will live for the lifetime of this widget. Yes. I think typically we've been returning pointers here. I think that's been our kind of general workflow. And then even here, really, if this is a generic type, it makes... Ah, this is fine. This is fine. Okay, so we're going to take in an allocator. I do not think that we need to take in like a resettable allocator or anything. I think that this is fine. Oopsies, this should be allocator. And oh, we do. This runtime segmented list thing requires a little bit of a more advanced type here. So we'll pull in our little allocator thing. This guy's going to be like, give me one of those. Like this. Okay, give me one of these guys, and then we construct our rows list. So return. I guess we also need the header names. We'll just kind of take those in like this. So we have headers equal to headers. And these things need to live. If we pass these on the stack, which we probably will, we'll want to duplicate these. So we'll do like, so if I think that it is likely, we will run this thing what we'll call like table init, like ASDF, you know, ASDF2, ASDF3, right? And if we do that, then this outer thing, this like array is on the stack, but the contents of the array live forever. So it's probably sufficient to do like, we can do like arena is alloc arena. It's probably sufficient here to do like arena dupe these headers like this. I assume. Might not be, but it's probably fine. If we want it to be really safe, we duplicate the outer ones too. Or the inner ones as well, but fuck it. Sure. So we'll just say string like header content needs to live for lifetime of widget. We'll just say that here. Okay. Then our rows are going to be this guy. We have some widgets inside him. And we initialize this with like our arena and then our page allocator. And then what else does this guy take? He takes the small size. So like what do we expect this guy to be? Maybe like expected LMs here. We can give him like a little bit of a guess. And then maximum size, we probably want to limit this somehow, but I don't really feel like we can make that decision here. Somebody else needs to make it for us, I think. So something like this seems kind of reasonable. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Okay, so now we have to like basically make this thing a widget that we can use in other places. right? So what's going to happen here? We're going to render our header, then the content. Now, the content, probably the scroll bar goes inside, right? We probably want like, we probably want something that's like, name, like date, and then in here, like we might be kind of like deep in the scroll here, right? So we have like stuff in here, which means that like this whole thing needs like we can't wrap this thing in a scroll view. The scroll view has to be like a child of us. So how does that work? How does that work? We probably lay these guys out. The scroll view wants like one widget. So we probably put all of these guys in one layout. I mean, we could just make like a table content widget. Maybe. So this guy probably just like holds a reference to parent of table. And this guy's job is to basically display all of the inner widgets. And then this like root table, he's going to have like the widgets are going to be here for him to look at. Yes. Then he is going to have a scroll view, I guess. Who he's going to render after the header. That seems kind of reasonable to me. So his render function is going to be like render the headers, then render the scroll view, and then the scroll view is going to hold a table content who points to these rows. It seems kind of like weird and roundabout, but I think that's reasonable. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is a table builder. Ooh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. So if we make this like a table builder, we can like push all of this stuff into him, and then at the end we'll just call like build, and this guy will return a scroll view. No, he will return a this guy's gonna return like kind of like hold on, we can figure this out. So this guy returns a scroll view that is in a layout. So we're gonna like lay out the header bar and then the scroll view. But once this table is built, I don't think we care about anything else. Cool. So our only actual custom widgets are the header, and the header... Oh, fuck, it's not that simple, though. It's not that simple because this guy needs to be able to change the sorting and resize the columns. Which is why this makes sense for him to hold on to these guys long term, so that he can like iterate over all of them and set their sizes appropriately when we resize from the header. Okay, so this is like hold these to resize. And then we also have to think about like who's going to sort. Yes. So the way... Let me think. So the table, I think, I think what's going to happen is when we sort, we probably won't actually do anything in the table. I think what's going to make sense is that, like, in our table widget, we're going to have, like, you know, some names in here, right? For some items. And they're going to have, like, you know, numbers associated with them for dates or whatever. Maybe we should do them out of order a little bit. 9, 3, 7 or something, right? I'm going to click the header bar here that says sort these. And because our table doesn't really know anything about like the numeric contents of these guys, right? He just knows like the widgets that are being displayed here. He has to ask the application to do the sorting for him. Right? Which makes sense, right? Because this is like a generic table. Who cares what's in here, right? Maybe there are like pictures in here. We're like, sort the fucking pictures. Like, fuck it. You can do whatever you fucking want. Right? And so then it becomes that this is like a request, this sort thing. So I think that this means that we're going to have someone is going to say, like, I'm going to say, please sort by column 2, right? And then we are also going to say, who are we sorted by? We're going to ask that every frame, right? So somebody might click this, and if we just go like, you can't fucking do that, or like, we can't do that right now, or like, it was too hard, or something, then we just won't do it. And you'll like click on the button and nothing will happen. And that's then when we ask, it'll just, you know, it just won't change. Okay, that seems reasonable. So we need to be able to ask to sort. Okay, seems reasonable, seems reasonable. Which means this guy needs to be a real widget. But he might, and so we're going back to the idea that he has an internal scroll view. Like scroll view. And I wonder if this scroll view, like, we might be able to like refactor this a little bit so that this scroll view doesn't have to be like a long-lived widget. We might. So like, can we just call a function to do the scroll view stuff? Question mark? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Okay. Cool. This is hard, man. Okay, so let's I guess we just start implementing. Well, I guess we need to populate the content of this thing first, right? So push row, we'll say. We'll say you go row by row and you add your widgets as you need. So this is going to be like a list of GUI widget. And here, I guess we will assume that you have allocated this with the right allocator. So we're going to say like row needs to live for lifetime of table. That's what we'll say. Seems kind of reasonable. Then all we do is we say like self here, that we need self here. Rows append row. That's simple. So now we should be able to like construct the content. So let's just start with like, maybe somebody constructs this thing with like some text. Oh, we should probably check that the row is the right size. So if row len is greater than the header's len, or like invalid row, and maybe we can even get like a little crazy and say if it's not equal, if you want to like put in some, there we have like null widgets that you can like push in here. Do I mean call? Well, the row has like 4 columns in it, right? So I think that this is right. I think. Okay, yeah, then that's pretty straightforward. So can we like make a test widget for this thing now? Let's like find a way to construct this guy. Maybe? I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, maybe I want to keep going on this side first. No, let's construct it. Let's construct it. So our file picker. I think trying to get this to work with the file picker right now might be a little bit too ambitious. So can we kind of work with a something simpler? I guess our widget factory needs to be able to construct a table. So we have like layouts already. Can we make table? So we initialize this thing with some headers. Okay, so we initialize this. We have headers and we have the allocator. And expected rows and max rows. In which case, like, why do we even have this as part of the factory? I don't know, but shut up. Okay, so this returns a... Oh, did I forget headers? I did. Okay. So this returns a table. And then in our file picker demo now, let's just do something where we say like make table. Actually, I guess we don't need to do this right now. I want to though. Widget factory, which comes from GUI widget factory, I think. Widget factory. Yes, with an action, sure. Okay. Chill. So now we make table with headers of like column 1 and column 2. Okay. And we're going to say like somewhere between 100 and like 10,000 elements. Like, fuck it, who cares? Then we're going to make some widgets to push into this thing. So let's go 50 widgets. And I think that we're going to say like, we're going to make some adapters here for like the text here. So we're going to have the column 1. He is going to be like, here's my index. And let me make you a string according to that index. I guess we don't have to do it that way. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to go like, these things are going to live for the lifetime. These are going to live for the lifetime of the GUI, so we can just say that like widget factory make label, and we're going to say, you know, label 1 for the first column is going to say, I don't know, man. We're going to take like the number. How does make label work? Pisses me off that this is not indexed correctly. But we'll live. So this takes just the retriever. Right, so we're like alloc print with our alloc arena probably. take this guy and we'll give him the words like call one with a number on him. Fuck it. Okay. Then we have label 2, which we'll just say, right, call 2 in. And then we put those into the table. And we're seeing again here that like this is on the stack. This guy, and this feels like a convenient way to use this thing. So I feel like here we're gonna say row content needs to live for lifetime on the table, but row does not. And we'll do like another one of these like we'll hold this guy here, I guess. We'll call this arena, so that's clear. And then here we go, like arena is arena. Boom. So now we can do like arena dupe GUI widget action of row. Okay. That feels kind of convenient, I think. So now we should have like 50 rows in this bad boy. I assume that this won't compile because we probably fucked something up somewhere. Wait, it's actually fine? Oh, because we didn't actually call this. So can we be like, table is widget factory, make table given this widget factory. And then can we show the table in our root thing instead here? So we need to convert this thing into a widget so that he can be run here. As widget probably. Oh, wait, what am I doing? This should be table as widget here. Okay, cool. Cool. So this surely won't build because this guy can take a const and then no member as widget, and then self alloc is the wrong type here somewhere. It's here. We need to put a little ampersand here. And this guy has to be mutable, I guess, for that to work. Okay. So now we just need, what's happening here? Found const widget factory. Is this the only guy? Yeah, what the fuck? Oh, I'm a dumbass, actually. This is alloc heap. There we go. Much better. Much better. Now this guy can take a const one of these and he's fine. Okay. Arena equals arena is mad at table zig 28. Right. So here we actually need to allocate ourselves. Is this Rust? No, this is Zig. This is Zig. Okay. So that should solve that part of the problem. Missing field scroll view. That is true. That is true. So how the fuck do we make that thing? I guess we just do it. We say, give me the scroll view shared state, which I believe exists. Scroll view. So this guy, when we initialize him, he does need style and squircle renderer. So that means we need these things when we initialize us. in order to create the scroll view. It's the only thing that makes sense. Okay. And so that means that, like, whoever calls us needs to pass us those guys. So this now makes sense that we have, like, this widget factory now, because we can just call, like, self state scroll style here and self state squircle renderer chilling. Then we need to, like, construct a scroll view. And that means that this shouldn't be a widget, actually. I think this should be a scroll view directly, because we're going to be pushing stuff into this. Is that true? No, that's not true. That's not true. We are only going to be using this to display our table content from below. We said that already. So we need to construct this scroll view with the GUI scroll view action in it. Okay. And our inner widget, so allocator is probably arena. We should probably check that. What does he want? Why does he even need an allocator? Literally just to create himself. Sure, so that's fine. We need to construct our child widget, so we're gonna call this like table content, I guess. Scroll bar style comes in from the parent, and so does squircle renderer. Okay, so now we just have to figure out how to make a table content widget, which is going to be table content action init red, presumably. I assume. Yeah, all of this is starting to feel like it makes sense. Then we could put scroll view here. And now we just have to like make this thing. So table content, I don't know why the fuck we copy pasted this. This should literally just be like, oh, I guess we do need an allocator for this thing, probably. So here, this is going to return a widget that we can shove into the fucking... We can shove into whoever we're trying to put into, the scroll view. Yes. And so he's going to be like, make me some pointer that I can put into like the GUI interface or the widget interface. So this is going to be like, make me one of me. Sir, please. And then I will return that like as the context pointer, and then we need to implement the widget interface, which means that we need to implement this like widget vtable. Which comes from GUI widget action vtable. Okay. Cool. So this guy is going to have to implement some amount of functions here. Looks like we can get away with a lot of these guys being null up front. This will change later, but for now we can say all of these guys don't matter. I suspect that this will matter later, but these guys do matter. So render is self-render, and get size is self-get size. Okay. Now we just have to implement these functions. Follow the fucking pane. We just follow the pane around and around. It goes forever. Okay. These guys need some imported types. Like this, and we want size as well. Pixel size, boom, boom. This guy looks a lot happier now. Okay, so how the fuck do we render this thing? What the fuck does this do? I guess we don't know yet. We don't have to know yet. We'll figure that out in a second. We're just trying to get this thing to compile in its current state. Okay, so these guys are all mad that they have like unused parameters, so let's just fix that really quick. And then I guess this guy needs to return something, so we'll return a small, impossibly small size widget. Okay, unused function parameter here on, yeah, I don't know what the fuck we were doing here. This is just like this. And we know actually our parent is table action, which means that we need to do like parent is parent, boom. And in reality, if we wanted to get fucking crazy with it, we could actually use the parent directly as the context here. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. So this guy, I mean, I'm not going to do that right now, but like, it's almost like this stuff can live actually like up here as content vtable. And this can be render content and get content size. Oh, that's kind of crazy. This is a first for me. This is a first. Which means that this can be like a GUI widget action that uses like context is the parent pointer. There is no child, but now our vtable is like our content vtable. Whoa, crazy. That's crazy. And then here, this stuff now is render content and content size. Whoa, crazy. Then this guy just like disappears. Fuck this guy. Cool. Okay, that's kind of sick. Okay, so now we're missing scroll view here was constructed with try, and then we still need to implement like as widget for the parent. So now we have like, you know, like full vtable, and this is going to be like self render and get size. And then our as widget return something like that. So we're literally just like, here we're the outside baby, CTX itself, and the vtable for this guy is the full vtable. All right, we're close to compiling. No field as widget. Hello. In void. Oh, this guy didn't return the right thing probably. No, he does. Maybe it was in this guy. This guy's supposed to return the table. Like this. Okay. Now this guy's mad. Should be called GUI. Okay, we're getting close. Looks like this guy needs like this. No field named arena. It's like this actually. Okay, we're getting closer. As widget, no field named as widget because when we call make table, we probably had to write try here, which we didn't. Got it. Expected this, found that. So at 313, when we call push row in the table, this guy needs to be able to take a constant. Expected type slice of GUI widgets found pointer to 2 GUI widgets. What's the problem? Cast discards const qualifier, so I have to write const here. Okay. And what's he mad about now? Expected type this. Oh, I forgot to write try on the dupe. True. I heard you guys are broadcasting Earthquakes live. Yeah, it was crazy. I was definitely shaken. It was It was a lot, but I mean we're fine. It's like I haven't experienced like a dangerous earthquake yet, which is hype. Hype. We have to do drills all through elementary school, but so far hasn't come to fruition. Expect to type GUI widget. Oh, so Rose probably put the wrong type here. Yeah. Expected type this thing, found that thing. So actually this is probably like this. Then this guy also needs to be like this. All right. We're getting so close. No field name render. Okay, so this, we just have to copy paste this for render and get size. Okay, I think we are finally fucking there. So, we have made something that builds. And if we run this thing, it probably is just empty. That makes sense. So what we have made is our table. Oh my god, I didn't mean to open that. Our table. We have table widget. He has a header in here that we haven't like rendered yet. And then he has this like scroll view. This scroll view actually like lives inside him. The scroll view needs to point to another widget. And this widget points back to itself, but with a set of vtable entries that should only render like the inside of the stuff in the scroll view. That's kind of the goal. It's kind of the goal. Glad everyone's fine. Feels okay, man. Yeah, not too bad. Oh, hi, Sonic. Oh yeah, I totally missed that it's you. Hello. Glad to have you around. Yeah, so I think this makes sense. We'll find out if this makes sense as we go. But let's just start now by trying to render the header. So at first, probably just like something that splits evenly makes sense. Eventually, we're gonna want to like grab these handles and slide them around, which we should actually write down somewhere. We should also say that we just have to say, please resize widgets. Oh, wait, fuck. No, we don't have to do that. This is something that we can handle internally. Resizing we handle internally. So that, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but that will be handled in the like the update section of our widget. There's somebody's gonna call this like update function, and he's gonna say, here's how much size you have available, and we're gonna like call update on all of our children widgets with the like appropriate resized size. So we're gonna like split that thing up into like chunks and like feed the correct chunk sizes to the children, and I think that will all make sense. Okay. Sick. So we can just start with the header. So this guy's probably gonna have some sort of like styling option for how fat the header should be. Probably. And I guess our headers, probably storing them as like the names of the headers themselves probably doesn't make sense, but maybe storing them as like GUI objects that can render the text makes more sense, right? So maybe this is kind of more of like GUI texts here that needs some sort of like header retriever. Okay, sure. It's kind of fun when the types just tell you how this thing is supposed to behave. Right? Like what we've just accidentally discovered here is that when they initialize us, they don't have to initialize us with strings. They can initialize us with like whatever the fuck they feel like, that as long as those are things that can like turn into text. And so that means that like that we've just like accidentally gained the ability for headers to like change their content over time, which is kind of funny. Like just because like the types kind of pointed us that way. Okay, so that means that somewhere we like duped the headers, right? Yeah, we did it down here. And I guess that's still fine. It also kind of means that like when somebody calls this thing, we don't want them to have to specify the type of the retriever. That's a pain in the ass, which means that this thing needs to turn into like make table, right? Because then the action is still well defined, but now we can kind of we can just take this init function, kind of rename it to make table. And now headers is a array of any type. Which might not work. Yeah, I think that this has to be any type, and then in here we have to check that thing. So we're gonna like get some type info of the type of headers, and we're gonna double check that this is something that we can use. So we're gonna be like, yo, this thing has to be a pointer. I guess we'll get like header type info like this. Yeah. And we'll say if header type info is not equal to pointer, we go compile error. Not okay. Need like headers needs to be a slice of text retrievers. Okay. Cool. And then we can also check and or header type info pointer dot, like one of these tells me if it's many. Slice. Yeah. There we go. So that handles that. This guy's gonna be like, make me a table of action with type of headers. Now that that's a generic thing that pops up, which means action here needs to be a type here that we pass in. Okay, most of that should be fine. This is self is going to be table action type of headers. Okay, and then we just have to write self dot on a couple of places here. Maybe just one of the places. All right. Cool. Cool. So now in the widget factory, we need to call make table instead. Uh-huh. Okay. And I think for now, we can kind of leave this part as it was. So he will still pass in, like at the widget factory side, we're still forcing strings. I mean, why are we bothering? We'll just write any type here as well. If we're gonna be, and then I think most of this should come together still okay. This GUI text stuff needs to be fixed. Okay, so for each header in here, for each header that we get, GUI text headers is going to be something else. So we're going to do like arena. We're going to allocate a bunch of these GUI texts. Which means that we need to like extract the type of the individual header retriever here, which I guess means that because we're doing this in here as well, we need like a function to do that. So extract header retriever, or I guess it's just a function. Header retriever from slice. Yep. Yeah. And I guess this is a type. Yes, and we return a new type here. We do this validation over here, and then we return the child here. Cool. So now here we can type header retriever from slice headers, but we need type of headers here. Okay. Gross. None of this is wonderful, but we'll live. And then we duplicate this in the function, I guess. Okay. So now here we can construct this guy with allocate these guys with the header retriever, because now we know what type it is. and we know that we need like this many of them. God damn, that was a pain. Okay, for each header, we create one of these things. So this guy needs all sorts of like shit as well. So he needs GUI text shared state and the text retriever and the allocator. Okay, so alloc, simple. We're gonna have to change the type of our allocator here to be a GUI allocator, which does like OpenGL allocations as well. We'll fucking figure that out as we go. Then we need GUI text shared here, and we need, what was the other thing? I forgot already. It was the text retriever. So this is the actual thing. Headers I. Okay, so far so good. This thing needs an I here, and then now we can call this with GUI text headers. Chill. So now all we need to do is pass in GUI text shared here, which comes from GUI text shared state, and Jesus Christ, this is exploding in complexity so fast. So we made that guy the parameter here. GUI text state, here we go. Okay, does this still compile? What do you think? Make check. Surely not. So this guy is mad. Why? Because expected 2 arguments, found 1. Oh, really? That's just so true, man. Ugh. Can we like use the wrong type here just to make like passing this shit around easier, right? If we can call this like headers slice here, then we can call this header retriever from slice, headers slice here, which is like a little bit annoying, but it means that like this return type is like something that we could fucking type externally. Which I think is like worthwhile because now this can return type of headers. And then this can return type of headers. Otherwise, it would be like fucked. There would be like no fucking way. And by headers, I actually mean we don't know that right now. So it's actually just like, what the fuck? I guess, right? Like, I guess, const U8. In which case, I'm actually back. I've changed my mind. That's something that is like very easy to identify. So this is kind of tricky. It means that we should make this public, which it is. Okay. Nothing is cool. Everything blows. I hate everything. Fuck. Everything. Okay. So now we're back here. This guy uses like GUI table header retriever from slice type of headers. There should be some sort of fucking auto return in this language. This is what I'm learning from this because this is not pleasant. This is what. But now over here, we know that the thing is a string. Okay. Headers need to be a slice of text retrievers. What is it? What have I done wrong? So this should be fine. Can we compile log headers? Like, what the fuck is this thing if it's not? Compile log. So this is a pointer to a struct of 2 elements. Oh, so it doesn't coerce nicely. Oh, okay, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So this is why... Okay, so this is why the Zig standard library just never fucking does it this way. Fine. 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 We'll fucking do it your way. So we'll name the header retriever, and then we'll make this a slice of header retrievers. Fine. Okay. Fuck you. Okay. Type. This doesn't have to exist anymore. And then the widget factory, we kind of do the same thing here where we take in the header retriever type here. And then this gets passed here. And then this guy gets header retriever here. And then we call make table. We have to manually fucking specify this shit. Which is like fine, I guess. No field or member function make table. Because self needs to come first. Oh my god. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Expected 9 arguments, found 8. Which one am I fucking missing? I'm probably missing the fucking header retriever. Okay, now headers is the wrong fucking type. Expected what? Expected type this, found that, so I forgot a const somewhere. Fucking... It's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. This does not support indexing 40. Why not? Because I didn't write try here. Expected this, right? So the allocator type here needs to change. This needs to be now a GUI alloc. Because he needs to allocate some OpenGL shit, which means that this thing needs to be like this, and then I think this can be a non-pointer, and then this is heap.arena now. Okay. Then do we have to stash the arena here? We did, but we're fine. Okay. He's mad, but I don't really understand why yet. Expected type slice of GUI text of double constituate. It got slice of GUI text single constituate. So why does he want the double constituate? That's fucking stupid. I don't want it that way at all. Slice of GUI text header retriever. This is slice of GUI text header retriever. Am I fucking high? Expected type single. No, this it's the thing inside. It's the thing that we're calling header retriever here. So when we construct red, we're creating self. We're using, yeah, this would be this. Okay, we're so fucking close. We're so close. Oh, we fucking got there. We fucking got there. We're back to nothing happening, but we should now have a list of headers that we can work with. Okay. Okay, so when we, every frame, we're going to be trying to update ourselves. This thing needs to exist. So in this update function, the expectation here is that we retrieve the text from each of our like retrievers, update the like GUI text buffers, so like the OpenGL buffers that render the text. We need to update those. And so here is where we would kind of like determine the size of each of our header children, right? So we go like for self, well, I guess we need self. Self is a pointer cast, align cast of context. Okay. And here we say for each of our, GUI text elements, we need to update them with some appropriate size. So for now, we're just evenly splitting. Header size is available size width over self header's length. Simple. Header, this is header width. And the height here, I guess we're probably going to pick some sort of constant size. And I'm going to say fix me. This should be some form of external styling, right? Because this is going to depend on like the height of like text, so it's going to depend on the font size, which is like something that we have available to us. I just don't want to fucking deal with piping that around right now. I've done so much piping, and I'm going to lose my mind. So each of these guys, we're going to say, look, your available size is the header width and the header height. Like fucking check who's around you, you know, find the text, put it in here, update your buffers, make sure that you're wrapping with this appropriate width, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. Okay, I was a little aggressive. Actually, I think that it's likely that in, like, technically, I think that the height doesn't matter here. In fact, the height, yeah, there is no height here. And this can fail, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So this header height is probably more of like a render thing. Or even like a size thing. Maybe a little bit of both. Okay, so our content. We have, I guess, our size for now is literally the header height because we're not rendering the header, the stuff inside. And our width is, we probably write that shit down. I think is probably the play here. And then here we store width as a U31 as 0 initially. And we use a U31 here because we want to make sure that like it cleanly casts to a int 32, assigned 32. So U31 gives us like the correct range, but with the type guarantee that it won't be negative because widths can't be negative. Okay, so this should compile and run. Holy fuck, we're still alive. And I guess we didn't set the update function here, so we need to do that. Like, actually do the updating. And now it doesn't work anymore because 133 is pissed off that, this guy wants to be a as U31 for that to work cleanly. Okay, so now we just have to fucking do the rendering. Move to the rendering. So I guess for now, when we render, I don't know what we're gonna do yet. Surely we like, I'm gonna fix me duped with update. Maybe we actually use the widget bounds width here. That kind of seems fine, in which case maybe it's not so duplicated. I'm not really sure. We're gonna look at each of these guys. So I guess our widget bounds should be like the whole header, right? This guy should provide us with like this whole area. And so all we have to do is chop this thing horizontally. So I guess we look at each of our headers, and this is going to have some sort of like element in here. And his start is going to be like his index, right? Index times header width. Let's get this guy as a U31 so that this gets the right type. Okay, so we have our start, we have our end is start plus header width. And now we just have to fucking render this thing. So how the fuck does that work? Elem render, okay. And we have to render him with some transform. So I guess the expectation here is that we put him in the right spot. So I think it's like we have some utility class that's like or utility function that gives us like the correct transform, widget eclipse transform. Yes. So we need to give him the bounds of our area. So we're gonna have like a pixel bounding box whose top is going to be the top of the widget and bottom is going to match, right? But the left and right are going to be start and end. Which means that these guys probably can just, yeah, it's fine. Then we use these bounds and the window bounds. And we just put the transform in here. That seems reasonable. I think that like might do something sane. Like we might actually see the text for our columns somewhere. Let's fucking go! Okay, so using the header width is wrong here. We should be looking for the height of, we should be looking for like the size of the text. So the text itself might get a size that's smaller than what we provided it, right? So like what this is rendering is it's like just taking the rendered text and stretching it to fit the like column header that we have. That's not what we should be doing. We should be looking at what they want, right? So we should be like elem.size. And so we have the start and the end. I guess we have the left is this. Right is going to be left plus elem size here. Elem size. So we're going to go left plus the width of the element. And then we have to do the same thing for top and bottom. So we probably want to center it vertically, huh? Probably. I think that makes the most sense. Sitting it on the bottom or the top doesn't make as much sense. I think that we have a thing for that as well, actually. Center box in bounds. So we given the element size and the widget bounds, just fucking center me. Maybe vertically and horizontally is fine. We might want this to be left aligned later, but I don't care enough to do that right now. So let's do it this way. But we don't want to center it in the widget bounds. We want to center it in... Oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, so maybe this is fine. So we take... If we want to left align it, that's actually kind of easy. So we take the left side and the right side. We assign that here. And this is like the... I don't even know what this is. This is like... section bounds or something. And then we center this thing in those bounds, and then we should get something that's like kind of right. Sure. Fuck it. I mean, it's hard to tell because we're not drawing anything else yet, but we finally have fucking columns. In reality, we also have to pad these. So this is also like way too tall. So between elements, we should draw a little bit of like a border, I guess. Which means that we probably... I think it's time to make some shared state. I think it's time. So in order to draw the separator, we'll probably just use the squircle renderer. These guys can all just live in our shared state now as well. The allocator is per guy, headers is per guy, expected elements and max elements are also per guy, so that's fine. Then we get the text shared here. Or table shared, sorry. And then here we look at shared dot dot, and then as well as here, and then here we store shared. Okay. Cool. So then we can start storing like styling information in here. So here we have like item pad, as well as the header height. These guys both kind of live in here. Like that. And now when we use these guys, we can use them like this. We can say, we can look at the style, shared style here. Yep. Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. So now all I have to do is like construct this thing now. So we have like this like state holder that we use for everything, and we can just kind of say like on here, we're gonna have like a table shared, which is gonna come from GUI table shared like this. And then when we construct this guy, we just have to like make one of him. So we're gonna be like ret table shared is equal to, and then he should start yelling at us that we're missing. So item pad, I think we have like a kind of item pad that we use everywhere. Layout pad. Okay, and then we have the like header height, which should probably be like something related to the like base unit here. Typical widget height maybe seems reasonable. Maybe it won't feel reasonable, but we can kind of feel it out. GUI text shared is ret GUI text state. I guess we named it the wrong thing. We have the squircle renderer and the scroll style. Hold on. Someone's at my door. 1 sec. All right. All right. Earthquake police. Yeah. It's the earthquake police. Okay. Squircle renderer is ret squircle renderer. And what was the last thing? Scroll something? Scroll bar style. Like this. Okay. Cool. So now when we make this thing from the widget factory, he now doesn't have to provide all of this stuff manually. He can just provide the share, like, table shared, which I think was under state here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We're fucking getting somewhere. Okay, cool. Cool. So now I want to, we probably want like a background color for this thing so that it's like a little bit more visible. Right, so background is going to be, something like this. And that means that when we construct this guy, we have to like say that. So header background is probably going to be like style colors. Background color 2, probably. We'll see how that feels. Then this guy is going to try to like render that thing probably like as like over the full area. So he's going to go like, let me draw, something. I guess he needs like, I don't know, we'll see. So this guy's going to use the color of the header background, corner radius of 0, widget bounds like this, and then the transform. So this is the GUI util widget to clip transform, given the widget bounds and the window bounds. Okay. So now we should see a little bit of a background on this guy, I think. Nice. And I think background color 2 feels kind of reasonable. We need now to render a separator between these guys. So on each header, do we need to render the first one separately? Because we're only rendering between. We could also just render all the separators after. I don't know which of those. I'll just do them after. Fuck it. for one self headers len, we have the left. Okay, so we need to basically every time. How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? So we have. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We have something like this, and this is at 0. Then he's got like some. I guess we were like split in half, right? So this widget size needs to not contain the padding area, right? Which means that like, and then this guy also, he needs to start past the padding area. It means that like this thing, when we update the size of the like child widgets, we need to do like the calculation here. This needs to account for padding, right? So it's like header width, and we'll take this from available width. And here we'll take the, padding and num items. So this is like, we have available width. So how the fuck do you do this? You subtract the padding times num items minus 1. Like actual available, and then we divide that by the number of items. Okay. That makes sense. So now this guy, when he's calculating the header width on update, this is now header width given, self headers len and available size width and self shared style item pad. Okay. So that kind of solves it over here. Now over here, when we're iterating these guys, I guess we do it a different way. So we have header width is still, we calculate the header width like this. What is it? It's like widget bounds calc width. And what was the other thing? Padding. I guess the types there are kind of wrong. We should have U31s here and here, and we should be called like num items U31 is an U31 in cast from num items. Then we should be using this everywhere. And this should be returning a U31. Okay. Cool. Cool. We're getting somewhere. So now we have this. And every time we should probably do like start is equal to 0 here. Or like left, I guess we can call it. Then here we do on each iteration, right plus equals header like left plus equals header width plus the item pad. Cool. That's making sense. And then all we have to do now is figure out where to draw the borders. Okay, so we're going to reset the left here to 0. And I guess this actually starts at header width. Yes. To draw the the little padding areas. And then here, every time, we just add header width plus item pad. Yes. Okay. Seems good so far. right is equal to left plus shared style item pad, which means that actually kind of you can kind of dodge this a little bit by going like left equals right plus this, okay? Plus the header width, I mean. And then we just have to like draw the thing in between. So we're gonna probably use this like squircle renderer. And we'll call this separator color, which we'll figure out later. We have our bound, so we should use like, you know, separator bounds here is going to be some bounding box that goes from like the top, it's going to go all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom, but its left is equal to left and the right is equal to right, which means that we can just kind of plug this in here and here. And I hope this gives us something sane. We're missing the separator color here, which I don't really know what it should be. Like, what are our options here? Like, almost just like active color seems maybe right. Let's see how that looks. He doesn't like that because integer overflow at table zig 213. So what's happening here? He's saying available width minus padding times 9 items minus 1. Okay, can we like GDP this thing, I guess? Just to see what he's fucking bitching about? What is he complaining about, this guy? 6. Available width 0. Okay. Saturating sub. So I think this just can happen like on like first updates or something before that like the window is really before we've like really figured out our size. Okay. This isn't good. Obviously not good. Right? So what the fuck are we doing? Headers len available size width item pad. Header size widget bound and item pad. Okay. So is it that our get size function is just doing something fucking brain dead? Self width here? Do we not stash the width on update? We do not. That would do it, huh? I accidentally deleted that, I think. All right. So looks kind of like shit. I think it's because I actually want some spacing between the spacer and the text, right? And maybe the color's wrong. I don't like that color either. So can we do something that's like when we render this thing, we just render it fucking smaller? So can we do like we'll say this is the item pad and then this is the separator width. Okay. So here we're going to be like left plus equals separator width over 2, right? Wait, no. We need like width diff is the item pad minus the separator width, right? And then we do left is incremented by the width difference over 2. And then right is plus the separator width. Then how does like incrementing here work? How does incrementing here work? We need to make sure that then left goes, I guess it's like next is left plus, can we call this like header end? And then use that instead of left everywhere. That feels kind of better. Left equals header end plus, and then we just have to make sure that the header end is incremented by the right amount. So this is header end is equal to header end plus like the item pad plus the header separate, like plus the hello header width. I guess it's not in self style. True. Okay. God, we fucking finally maybe got there. And then there's like some shadowing shit going on. So can we just like put all of this into like some braces so I don't have to deal with that shit right now? Style widget factory. He's mad because the separator width needs to be like layout pad times 5/6 or something. Maybe like 2/1/2. Maybe it seems probably reasonable. Maybe, I don't know, man. Don't fucking ask me. It still feels way too fucking close. Way too close. But I guess that just means that you could do like item pad is bigger. Yeah, you could just pad them by more. Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. I don't know, man. I don't know, maybe that's fine. We could also try centering them. If we center them, they might look a little less shit. I don't know. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. That's good enough for now. We should stop thinking about this. Let's let's move on with our lives and try to get like the content in here. So, content. Content. We have a bunch of widgets. If this GUI project was 100% serious, would you change the design? Nothing about it feels wrong to me. I think creating widgets is like a little bit of a pain in the ass. But like once the widgets are created, not so much. I think that like I think a lot of it is just that like positioning stuff is also kind of a pain in the ass. I do like the design of like the overall design of like pull stuff from app. I'm a fan of that, and the idea of like GUI doesn't do stuff and you returns actions. I like that too, which means that the kind of like, the rest just kind of falls into place. So I think it's probably fine. Probably. I think I'm okay with it. But I mean, in reality, if this thing was 100% serious, I wouldn't do it. Like, okay, so this is fixed as well. Okay, so the content. So on update, surely we have to update the content of all of our children. And I think what ends up happening is that goes through the scroll view update. No, because the scroll view doesn't have like a layout inside. The scroll view only calls us. So we have to update the remaining space correctly. I guess we call scroll view update, and he might like adjust himself. So scroll, he might like have some like borders and stuff to deal with. Ah, fuck me. Oh, that's going to be annoying because the scroll bar is going to come into play here. That's fine. Which means that like in our, for now, that will just mean that the last column gets shrunk. Fine. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Oh, there really was an earthquake or a really big truck. Yeah, it was really big. Yeah, so we're gonna update the scroll view, I guess, with the available space. Adjusted space. Okay. We're gonna take like we're gonna subtract the height. So we're gonna have the full width for this is fine, but the height is going to be the available height minus the item pad minus the header height. Okay, so that seems reasonable. This thing needs to be a pixel size. And then we need to call update on all of our children. So for each of our rows, I guess we do the same shit here where we have like I guess we don't need to know their positioning. We only need to know their size, which is easy. Okay. So I think we're kind of saying that your height can be like as big as you fucking want. I think because they're in a scroll view, so there's nothing kind of clamping their size down. Seems reasonable. Yeah, so the height I think is unbounded. So I think we kind of do this. The width here is just the header width. We're kind of down with this, and we're supposed to be calling widget update here. Yeah, so for each widget, we're just like, here. That seems reasonable. I forgot that this runtime segmented list is a little weird, so we need to do this with an iterator. Row iterator is self rows iter while row iterator next here. We're fucking chilling. Then I think this needs to be dereferenced because it's a pointer. Okay, cool. So that's actually not that bad. The update here makes a lot of sense. Then on render of the then our content size here is surely it's like just the same as the parent. This is a little bit fucked up because I think the scroll view might expect the content size to adjust based off of the scroll bars available. I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. So I'm just going to say that we're going to use the width and the height here is going to be, I guess we need to store the content height. So I guess what we do is we iterate over all of these guys, and after we update them, we get their current height, and we add it to the content height, which allows us to then return like self content height here. Think that's probably fine. Okay. I don't know, man. Sure. Sure. And then all I have to do is actually fucking like render it, I guess. So what do we do? I guess probably also increase the by item pad here. Right? If we're assuming that the item pad is the same vertical and horizontal. Okay. And then what? Fuck. uh so here we just go, we do the same thing where we iterate all of the widgets, but now we have to render them. Right? Surely. So we y start is surely at 0 at this point, or I guess widget bounds dot top is more correct. So we start at the top of the widget, and as we go row by row, we probably say like row max height here, and then at the end we do y plus equals row max height, right? Then we go for each widget and we get its size. Widget size. Clearly our like row max height is the maximum of the existing row max height and the widget height. Uh-huh. But then we actually have to like render the widget. What are like x bounds here? They must be related to header width. They must be. So we probably get that header width and, you know, fix me clearly not header anymore. But I guess we have like here x start as well. And we just render this thing at that place. So we figure out our bounds. This is going to be, I guess, a pixel bounding box. With like the left side being widget, like the x start, I guess. The right side being the x start plus the widget size width. The top probably being like y start, and the bottom being like y start plus widget size height. And then we just render this thing in there. Widget render, given the bounds and the window bounds. Maybe. I mean, that's not crazy. X start then has to move forward. So this is going to be like increase this plus self shared style item pad. And then we don't have like self content height to deal with here. I mean, that's like not 100% won't work. Okay, so we are getting nothing. Why? First of all, is there anything to render in here? First of all, are we trying to get into it at all? Rendering content, smile. All right, is this guy running? No. So that's bad. I guess that means that's probably because we, when we render the top level widget, need to render the scroll view. Which needs to take into account the adjusted space. Which means like fix me duplicated with update. Probably in some way. So it's actually going to be, this needs to be bounds, adjusted bounds, which isn't just a size, it's got like a top, left, bottom, right. Top is surely this part. So we take the header height plus the item height, or the header height plus the item pad, and that's the top. Bottom is this the existing bounds bottom. That makes sense. And then I think the left and right are the same. Like, I think that these are just the full bounds of the widget. That sounds right. And then we can then scroll view render with adjusted bounds and the window bounds. Okay. So we're still not seeing that happen, which is, I would say now, like, quite concerning because the scroll view surely is trying to render now. Surely. Like, we're calling the functions here. So why is the scroll view not trying to call render content? Oh, because I deleted it for some reason. Rendering content, smile. Gotta love it when you just wait. That was the right function, right? Yeah, render content. Yeah, render content. Boom. Okay, so we are attempting to render the content. It's just there's nothing there. So why? I think that means it's probably time to hit the debugger. Because there's clearly something there I don't understand. Just take a little peeksies around an internal state. Okay, can we look at, like, where are we? Can we look at, like, self.rows? So we do have 50 items in here, which seems good. Okay, so we are trying to render something somewhere. And then this seems kind of reasonable as well. Right? Those are like... that is like a widget with a size. Right? Left 0, right 61, top 32, bottom 49. Yeah. And then we go again and we like... Yeah, and then he renders on the right side, and then we should go forwards again. And he should render on the left side. But like a little farther down. So now he's going 49 to 66, which is what he had before. So like, what the fuck is the problem? This seems like pretty clearly like in the window. To me, that seems pretty clearly in the window. So like, as far as I can tell, we should be seeing stuff here. But pretty clearly we're not. And then I'm also a little confused. I would expect to see like the scroll bar here, especially if I like bring them down this far. Surely like 50 items go off the edge of the screen here. Which is a little confusing. A little bit confusing. What if? Let's get crazy. Let's pretend there's no scroll bar. And just try to like render this shit directly. Oh, it's render content like this. Like if that guy renders stuff and the scroll view doesn't render, then that's a really good clue, which looks to be the case, right? So this is working actually like wonderfully. Look at that. Look at that. That's a table if I've ever seen one. So then the question becomes is why is it not rendering through the scroll view correctly? So did we do something like fucking brain dead here? When we created this scroll view, we create it with this table content, which is using the return values of the parent thing, and that makes sense with the content v table. Oh, it could be that if the content v table doesn't have an update, the scroll view gets confused. So when he calls update, he's going to try updating all of his children. And is that how he calculates like his size? No, this is inner update. What is inner here? Widget. Yeah, so he's going to call update on his child. And then he's going to look at the content height where he looks at inner get height. So this should just do nothing, right? Because if this is not, yeah, this just does nothing, which is fine. Okay. I guess we need to look at the scroll bar, the scroll view render. Because it's the only thing that really makes sense for this to not be working right. So scroll view, render. Okay, let's just break point here and just fucking see what's happening. And just see what's happening, because clearly something's wrong. Okay, so this is coming from our table widget, good. And can we like maybe info args here? So we are trying to render something. Okay, fine. That top and bottom looks fucked as fuck, you know? Scroll, where are we? Render? So, adjusted bounds. I don't really see a problem with it, to be honest. Oh, it's this. Our size needs to include the content height. Aha. Aha, aha. There we go. Now, I don't like what's going on here. For some reason, the scroll bar is just always present and always filling the whole thing. Also, like, who the fuck is rendering in the background there? Oh, it's probably we were assuming on render that the widget bounds height was like the header height. Yeah. Yeah, so this has got to be like widget top plus header height. Okay. So that should fix. Okay, we've got column 1 and column 2. Now we need to make sure that the header section renders the correct area. So we don't use the full widget bounds here. We use the header bounds. So this is going to be like a bounding box where the top is the same as the widget bounds. The bottom is the widget bounds top plus the header height. Left is widget bounds left, and right is widget bounds right. Okay. So that should fix the fact that, fuck! That should fix like the gray shit, making it all over the place instead of just under the header. Fuck. We did it. We need header bounds here as well. Oops. Okay. There we go. So that's looking better. Now, why is the scroll bar not working? That's the next question we got to answer for ourselves. That's the next question. So this seems reasonable to me. Render content. So the content size here, the content height. Content height comes from all this stuff. I'd be interested to see what it thinks the content height is. So can we look in the scroll view and maybe look at where it's like adjusting the scroll bar stuff. So like, can we just like look here and just see what we're looking at? What was I using? We're on Linux. Okay, so backtrace. We are probably the interesting part here is frame 2. We're in the scroll view update. So we're looking at like adjusted space here. We have 800 by 568 from an 800 by 600 window. So that seems pretty reasonable, right? Because like the header should take up like some smallish amount. Okay. So can we look at like, what is like self content height? Content height. So this is like inner get size dot height. Okay, sure. So can we step into this thing? Okay, so we're returning 0 for the content height. Okay, that would do it. It's probably that the update order is wrong. We're probably updating the scroll view before. We probably need to update the scroll view after we update all of the children of the scroll view so that he gets the right size. Okay. Although I imagine this still won't fix the problem. Like, we've still got some, like, bullshit here where the scroll bar is not working the way I want it to. So let's go back here and debug again. Okay, so we go once. Okay. So now can we look at, like, up, content height. So we now have a content height of 2600 pixels or 2700 pixels. That's reasonable, I think, given that we're seeing like the first, no, that doesn't feel reasonable to me, to be honest. That feels way too large. If we have 50 elements in here and we're seeing the top 30 in like 600 pixels, then surely we shouldn't be more than like 1,200 or something, right? Surely. So that's a little concerning. Could be the padding in here is causing some problems. Row max height. Okay. Okay. I mean, the content height does start at 0. Oh, we're doing this for... The height needs to... Oh, can't be done for every element in the row. The height has to be done for every row. So we have to find... Here, we have to do the same trick. Where we find, like, the row max height. And get, like... widget, get size, height. We have to do this here. Okay. So that should be a little bit more reasonable. Right, so that explains why it was like about 2 times as large as I expected it to be. Although I don't think this fixes much. No, so the scroll bar is still fucked. Obviously, scroll bar is still fucked. So can we look at here and just kind of... Okay. So... Am I doing something stupid? Info args. Content height 1340. That's a lot more sane. A lot more sane. So we have a scroll bar present. Cool. Okay. So we have our size. is 568. We know that the content height is way bigger. So then why the fuck is the scroll bar not being updated correctly? Can we break at like scroll view 95? Okay. So handle ratio should be around 40%. I mean, this handle is taking up like the whole screen, but it thinks that it should be around half, which maybe is like a little bit more reasonable. And can we look at like, it thinks it should be at the top. Okay, so then why is it rendering like shit? And then also kind of weirdly, I'm not seeing any like highlighting when I hover over this thing. Like it seems to not know where it is. Oh, because we're not calling input. Okay. So, right, of course. We need to do some input. So that will fix something. I don't know what, but surely that will get us closer. Surely. So presumably, we just have to kind of propagate down to the scroll view in the right spot. Right, so this is going to look a lot like on render when we render this thing. We're going to just put a little fix me duplicated as well, and then we're going to call set input state on this guy. Input state needs to be imported. And then I think it's, there's also something that's like input response here. Okay, cool. Cool. So we need self to be imported here, which makes, or to be cast. And then this guy needs adjusted bounds, input bounds, input state. And let's just kind of see if that gets to be a little bit more sane. A little bit more sane. Fingers crossed. Okay. So this is looking good. Now, what's not looking good is he seems to be quite confused about the height that he's allowed to see. Right? Like, I don't know what's going on with this window, but he's pretty clearly confused. So that sounds a lot like that, like on update or render, we're doing something stupid here. So we have the available size height minus this minus that. So that seems reasonable to me. That seems reasonable. What about on the on render here? Okay, so the bottom, I mean, I don't see how this could be wrong. I don't see how. Ooh, No, yeah, I don't see why this would be incorrect. We have the header, we have padding between the header and the rest, and we're like, fucking run it. So unless there's like some sort of confusion here, I guess we just have to like, I mean, I guess the other thing here is that it seems like the oh, okay, the scroll bar definitely is confused about where my mouse is. Unless I can usually click off the bar, which seems possible. Let's look at our other application. So here, oh, okay, I don't have to click on the bar, I just have to click in the gutter. Sure, in which case then it's working correctly. That's kind of weird, but sure. What if we're giving him too much space? What if when we call get size on the scroll view, he returns self size, okay, which comes from available size, so it shouldn't make a difference here. We're giving him the available size and then, but we could try just for shits and gigs here. No, I don't see a problem. I really don't see a problem. It's like, I guess we can go into the scroll view and say, here is what we expect our size to be on render. So we can be like, expected size is this, which is self size, right? Simple. And our actual size comes from the bounds. So we have bounds calc width and bounds calc height. And are these like significantly different? Because if they are, we have a problem. These are significantly different, which explains the issue. So it's the actual size here is the fucking problem. It's just like fucking mega big. Which means that like the widget bounds that come in here are mega big. Oh, because we have said that we want this thing to be as large as like all of our content. And that's not true. We just want to be the available size. We just want to fill the fucking window. So that means when we get our size, we should stash that shit. Okay, our size needs to be a pixel size. Okay. And I'm sure that that's going to cause all sorts of problems. So size can equal 0, 0 off rip. Uh-huh. Who else is mad? This guy. Sure. All right, does that look a little bit better? A little. I mean, he's still... I mean, now at the very least, the scroll view is working correctly, but our, like, content height is just, like, absolutely fucked. Absolutely fucked. So, what's going on there? We return content height here. Content height... I mean, are we, like... Should we not be padding here? I wonder... And then, like... Because on render, do we pad with the... render content? No, we were using... Oh yeah, we weren't padding here, so there could be something to that. Where, like, it was calculating the size based off padded, and we weren't padding on rendering. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's correct. All right, so there's a lot of places where we've kind of, like, made some minor mistakes. A lot of places where we have to be a little bit careful. I don't know why this scroll bar isn't going all the way to the top here. I guess it kind of lines up with the clipping here as well. Right, there's something weird going on here and here. But overall, I think we have successfully got part 1 of a table widget down. This was not trivial, which is probably bad. That's probably a bug. Or not a bug, but like maybe like a design problem. I don't know. We'll see. Next up would be integrating this with the file file picker. So there's still more work to do here. We haven't really like talked about like sorting or anything yet. So we're gonna have to make it so that when we click on these headers, the sort changes. But we'll get there later. All right, cool. I think that's a success for the day. A little bit of a like slower progress than I would have liked, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you saw, we stream most days at 12:30 Pacific time to 4 o'clock Pacific time. Is 4:15 now. If you like the content, please consider supporting on Patreon, YouTube, or Twitch. This will end at some point if we cannot pay rent. So I am, asking however much I don't feel happy about it, that you consider. If not, though, no big deal. VODs are archived on YouTube. The 2 to 4 segment, 12:32 segment is what you get from Patreon /YouTube/Twitch when you sub. Is VOD access to the happy hour segment where we kind of just do like side quests essentially. So today in happy hour 12:32, we were looking at SimD. We were like taking our notes from the SimD stuff yesterday and like being like, oh, okay, so I guess it doesn't fucking matter. Nothing's ever fast. Like it's never gonna be fast enough to be a problem. And then we started looking at like integrating our Markdown render with the TV tracker. So things that I don't really want to make a YouTube video out of, but are still fun to stream. So if you want to see that stuff, you've got to catch it live or, subscribe in the appropriate places. Otherwise, I think that's all we got to say. YouTube, peace out, and Twitch, let's find someone to raid.